Welcome back to another review, but not so much a review. This time it's a wee trend that's going, and I've been tagged in last week's video by Whisky to pick that one distillery that I find maybe my favourite. And when you asked me last week when I watched his video, it's going to be as hard as it was for him. I think it started with Jeff Whisky, and it's started doing the rounds, and it's came to myself. So make sure you do watch Whisky Wims and see what his is going to be, because I thought there was going to be a specific one. There was actually something different. So make sure you check that out. So what my views on it is, I'll there's whiskies that I love. There's specific distilleries I absolutely love. There's no doubt about it. But the thing for me is, can it be obtainable, price friendly, and does it kind of cover all bases? And what I mean by that is it a single distillery that can produce several styles of malt? For instance, your standard whiskey, non-peated, maybe lightly peated, and heavily peated. Maybe going through the realms that it kind of opens the cask for everyone to enjoy. And there's numerous distilleries that come to mind. One of my favourite whiskies is Ben Nevis. I love Ben Nevis, especially in 1996. And there's still a whiskey that I tried, I think it was 2022 or 2021 at the Glasgow Whisky Festival from North Star Spirits. And it was this 1996 refill bourbon, and it's still my top dram I think I've ever had. And that was just on the day a sample bottle, so it was never for sale, which is devastating for me. But I love the spirit from Ben Nevis. I love what they do, but you predominantly see it in an independence market. When you're looking down the line from the distillery itself, yeah, they've got a good core range, but it's just never out there. They don't really promote themselves the way that other kind of distilleries do. Just, I think, really old school, right? So I do like that, and I like that whiskey, but it's not my favourite because they just don't do enough for me in that sense. But I do love picking up an indie bottling, and I do love the standard 10 and things like that. I've actually got a wee beer with me. I'll stick it here just to keep me going. So it's a whiskey that I do love. It's a style that I love, the funkiness of it, all that good stuff, which I think in a lot of the whiskies that I do enjoy has that. I'll jump to Campbelltown now, Springbank. You can't really go wrong. They cover all bases with Springbank, which is very lightly peated, Hazelburn, which isn't peated, Longrow, heavily peated. The issue for me is trying to obtain bottles frequently. If you go into shops, you'll never see it, and if you do, you grab it just because you panic in case you don't see it again. And I love that spirit. I love that soft maritime note that comes through. Sometimes there'll be a wee bit of funk on it as well. Like, there's some of the heavily peated sherry stuff can be a bit sulphuric and things, and that's got that Ben Nevis style to it, which I think is nice and complex. And it's a great part of the whiskey world is Campbelltown, right? And it probably is one of the favourites, but again, looking at price point, availability, and covering all bases, it's got 2 out of the 3. And I think it's so close, but I think if Springbank decide to go massive, it takes away the whole idea of what Springbank is. And I love how they keep their prices reasonable as well. They don't jump up the market. They know people will buy it. You go to other distillers, you go to Islay, you look at Lagavulin, which got me into whiskey. I absolutely love Lagavulin. It's such a moment where the 16-year-old Lagavulin was the one that stopped me in my tracks and made me go, wow, I love whiskey. You kind of dot about there. You can go to Bunnahabhain, which I love. And the core range stuff, it can change slightly with the peated. I'm not huge on the Stoisha at times. Again, and that's just me. But then you can jump to Bruichladdich as well, covers all bases. Non-peated Bruichladdich, Port Charlotte, heavily peated, 40-50 ppm. Then Octomore, which is this magical, mental peated dram, which is really sweet. Again, covers all bases, but price point can be, it can go up and down for looking at certain bottles. And that's always there as well. I could probably pick from regions, no problem, I think, and find a distillery from there, but it has to just be the one. And that was always one that I thought, but just looking at the price when they launched their 18 Bruichladdich, it was just crazy prices, and I thought it's going the wrong way for me now, and it kind of turned my head away from it a little bit, and I started looking kind of elsewhere. You look at Glasgow Distillery, 10 years old, and they're amazing, amazing. And I think if you maybe ask me in 5 or 10 years' time again, they could be the top because they do everything. They've got the triple distilled, single distilled, peated, non-peated, aging non-peated whiskey and peated casks, which is sensational. The Manzanilla, which was a superb dram. They just always hit it on the nose. Started out the 50 cl bottles and moved up to the 70. Kept the price point there, and the price point's amazing. And I think in a couple of years that they could be the one for if I get asked again, but they're not my top right now. My top, and probably folk might have guessed it already, and I'll say for the reasons why, would be Tomatin. And the reason is that I think the approach to the distillery, when you go, it's one of the most warm welcomes I've ever had. And every time I go, I've been maybe 3 or 4 times in the last year or so, taking family and friends, and it's just been an amazing, amazing welcoming. There's nothing to hide at Tomatin as well. Everything, questions are always answered. Looking around the warehouse, he's been able to see what's in front of you, and no questions are never unanswered. They have the core range is another thing as well. It's obtainable at all times, really. And the Tomatin Legacy, which is bourbon and virgin oak for between 35 and 40 pounds, is a stunning dram. I love it for price point, attainability, and be able to pick it up all the time. The 18-year-old's amazing as well. It's like £115, I think, or £110 at times for the 18-year-old Tomatin. That's their sherried note, but how well they look after their casks, and the policy is just amazing on the cask side of things. But you move on to Cabochon, which was a late bloomer in the Tomatin world, a peated dram, about 20-30 ppm. I think there is Scott looking to make even peatier at times, maybe put wee batches out here and there. But that just is a style of whiskey that I love, is that lightly peated dram, which is incorporated with the wood really, really well. But also, one of my favourite drams last year was the single cask virgin oak. It was the virgin oak cask strength, like 5 years old. That was unreal. I absolutely love it. I ended up 2 bottles, went through one quickly, sharing it around. I've got one that I've not opened, and they've just released one, I think, this year, so I need to try and get back up and get one. So Tomatin just covers everything. It's price point, it's friendly, the way that they promote themselves online, offline, at festivals and things. I just love it, and being part of it as well. I think, yeah, it might have a little part to do with it, but overall, I just think it's an amazing distillery, and that would be the one distillery I think I could go back to over and over, and never get bored, never think, oh, I can't believe they've done that. Like, pricing has just never been an issue, and that's big for me. Attainability, pricing, and they're all happy, and that's magic. So what I actually done the other day, I actually won a bottle in auction. Well, not won a bottle, I bidded for a bottle and I won it. So I've got this here. I'm going to open it just now. I'll do a quick wee bit on it, but I'll not do too much. This is a creation for Cabochon, tawny port, and cognac casks. Great looking bottle. In fact, I'll maybe just open this and not review it because I'll leave that for another day. Pop. There we go. Yep. I'll maybe review this another time, one of the older ones. But thanks for tuning in. I'm going to pass this on now, since it's happened to me, since Whisky Wims passed it on to me. I'm going to pass this on to the Whisky's own Rick, who's over in the States, and he might have something Scotland America, Canada, France, who knows. But I'm going to pass it over to Rick and see what he decides on his number one distillery that he would choose. But again, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. Join me next week and we'll try and maybe review this one. Sounds.